Hey guys, my name is Octoman and today I want to show you a semi-dynamic way to how to create a level selector or level selection menu where you can, if you select a level or if you complete a level, that you can unlock the next level by using player prefs. Also, you can start with one level or just can create one level, and you can always increase the level no matter how much you want. We are using a dynamic canvas system for this, which is automatically spacing and setting up all that buttons, and we script something like unlocking and locking, or basically unlocking all that buttons, and then once they are unlocked we can just load any level we want, and we can from this point we can do anything we want, and also we can give stars depending on the score the player has had in the previous in this level. So let's get started with that. So I have opened a new scene, and what I want to do at first is I want to create a canvas. Since we are using Unity 5, this is the easiest way to set up such menu, and we can do everything inside that menu we want, and we can create everything we need, of course. So the first things we want to do is we want to create some panels. The first panel, maybe this one, can hold later on text messages or world buttons. If you have several worlds you need to fill with levels and stuff. And the second panel we want to create is our that was wrong. We're gonna create this in here. Create new panel, and we drag this one down here. So in your game scene you can see something like that. The next thing is, in the second panel I'm going to rename this one to level panel. I want to create another panel, UI panel, and this is going to be my spacer. With that spacer I can determine how much space from the left and from the right of my wolf field the buttons will be away, at least like this. So depending on where the spacer ends and or where it is or not, we have the possibility to make a space between left and right, and also I will go over and call this one spacer. And that spacer will later on have all informations we need for our buttons. So what do we need at first is we need, of course, create a button and design it as we please. We can also use graphics and stuff. I don't go over this. I just want to make this as quick as possible and as detailed as possible. So let's just go over and create a button in here. As you now can see, this button lands somewhere in the screen, and if we would create several buttons, it wouldn't be organized around our field in here. So what I want to go over is, I take my spacer and add a group or a special element or component which is already taking up the right size for our buttons and will automatically place them inside this spacer element. So let's go to add component, UI. I believe it is the UI. If it's not, it is layout. Oh no, it's layout. And in here in layout we have a grid layout group. Just click this one. What you see is it already deformed the button into a size of 100 by 100, and we can also set a spacing between other buttons, maybe like 5 by 5 pixels. So if we now go and duplicate that button, you can see it filled the spacer without any problems. As you also now can see, we have 71 buttons, or actually 78 buttons, and now we can just take our spacer, if we are good, or if we like that size, of course, we can take our spacer and decrease its size, since we have some border. We can just take the spacer and place it close, if we would be able to anyhow, like this. So we take the spacer. Don't forget to activate that rect transform tool, otherwise we are not able to do that. So and now we take the spacer and place it in the center of the wall field, and now we have basically our stuff done with the spacing in between. Also, we have buttons which are which actually can do anything. Let's drag down the space a bit to the middle. So we have now a fully centered 28 buttons organized in a row with a space in between. But we don't want, or I don't want to have to set them all up manually, all the informations, all the stuff. So I want to create some want to set them up semi-dynamically. So what I do first is I want to keep this button as it is, but I want to add some labels maybe, and also some other information the button can or may need. So this text element over here we can already use and create. No, let me get rid of this. Just let me delete this. I'm gonna do it a bit different. I'm gonna create another label, a panel inside of that button. As you can see, it already fits inside, and I drag this one out a bit like so. Also, I go to the color and change this maybe to gray. So I have some differences. Also, if you don't like the background there, you can always go and design it, and can also set this one to black if you like to, or any other color as you want that to be. Okay, and now I duplicate that panel once again, and I drag the southern part here and this part over there, and then we have a small gap. So inside of that panel, which is going to be my let's say stars panel, I can later on add some star images or text or whatever, and in that panel I go over and create a text, and this is going to be my level label. This level label will later on get changed by us over code. I can choose any size I want and any font I want. 50 seems to be quite big. But a rect transform tool again, and then we just drag this one to the center point over there, and I want this to be in the middle and in the middle. So I can also fill anything inside, maybe a 1 for the level itself. I can set up the color for the text itself, and I just say a tail, or say this is going to be label text. This label text will later on determine how we save our stuff. So make sure you use it would be great, pretty useful if you use a 1. Otherwise you can also use another variable for this, but I just use this variable later on, or this number in here we are later on posting inside to read out the player prefs with just that number we sending inside. Okay, and for the stars panel we can just add another text thing, or you can create any any animations and stuff and any star icons. I'm gonna add an empty game object maybe, or an image. An image is pretty nice. So as you can see, the image is too big, so we reduce the size a bit. I'm gonna check in just a second if I have a star anywhere in my scene in here. If not, I can just take one in. Let's go to textures. Do we have some stars? Yeah, I have a particle star in here. So there's also the sprite. I guess I just take this and that's not what I wanted. Particle atlas, let's say Yeah, just take this one. Can also rotate this, but I don't really care right now. So what I want is, this is going to be star 1. And you can give this any color, maybe something like semi-transparent, so the users see, okay, this star is not unlocked right now. So we duplicate this one already, and we can, basically, this is not star 1, this is star BG1 for background, and this one is going to be the real star on the same with the full color, and maybe red or yellow, however you like. And this star is going to be is going to be not active, not for the moment. And need to make sure that all of them are replaced or renamed properly. So now I duplicate them, boss, and drag this those those stars maybe at this middle point. So I'm gonna undo that again and gonna duplicate those once again, and maybe like over there, I don't know. Looks okay for me. Gonna need to see what I do here. Oh yeah, that's pretty much okay. So what you can do later on is those star BGs, it will just be in the background and will be always visible. We don't touch them, not by code nor anything else. This is going to be star 3. So if the player has a score of, I don't know, whatever your score is for the level, you can set all that stars by to active or inactive later on just by code, and the player will see when he goes into that menu that the stars are open or closed or whatever. So let's deactivate them once again, and now we have basically our first button, and I just can keep this named as button, or I can also call this, I don't know, what can I call this button? Maybe we call this, let's keep this as button. Sorry. So what we want to do next is we want to create a prefab out of that button. I go into my UI, I already have a button in here, so this is a button you have seen in the preview. So what we do is, to create a prefab, we just take that button and we just drag this one inside. I believe I need to rename this one to button 1 or button U. You can rename your button as level button, or basically don't confuse yourself. So I call this one button U and drag this one inside, and now I have the possibility to do everything with that button. So now for the scripting part, since we can always go into the spacer and drag this one in, it will always appear as it is, but no. That's again not what we want. We want to create this one dynamically. So what I do at first is, in my level scene in here, I create a game object which is empty, and I call this one level manager. This level manager, I need to do this here. This level manager will basically make sure that all the buttons have the right informations inside, like which level to load, which level is already unlocked, and all the other stuff. And that's what we code right now. So I go into my scripts folder. I have a UI level button and level manager in here already. So I create some new. So I rename this level manager new. And I also create another button, a C# script, which is going to be the level button new. So you call this one just level button, or whatever you want. As I said, don't forget to confuse yourself. So rename them all properly. Yeah. So this is level button new. We're gonna open the level manager at first. I'm going to demonstrate everything right now. Okay, so before we start, we need to create a new class, and I personally like this, do it inside the other class, just because newer level or newer stuff you need to create, you want to hold your own class and want to go through all of that stuff. Just inside that level manager. You can also go and take or create this class outside of that, so you will only need to write this once, but basically later on you will just copy and paste that stuff, I believe. So let's create that class. So this class is going to be public class, and I call this one just level. This class will hold all the informations which are directly on that button. I hope I can make this one understandable, or as good understandable as possible. So all that informations we enter in here, we will see later on in the level manager, in our level manager game object. So I drag in the level manager new on my level manager object, so I can access this from here. And what we do is, at first we need to initialize that class and need to make everything visible in that class. So what I want to do first is I want to create a string inside that class, and this class or that string will hold my level text. Since we need the since we need to have access later on to all the text components, we also want to use a namespace called using Unity Engine .ui. So otherwise we cannot go and change text elements, not the strings, but later on text. The next thing we want is we want to have an integer which is saving if this level which we are in is already unlocked. So we don't set any variables in here, we just say, okay, this is what we need. And what we also need is, we want to make sure that we can set a button, have a connection to the button and set this one as interactable or not. So for this interactable we say bool and we create a new is interactable. So with that done, I have the possibility to set something as interactable or not just inside of the level manager. So also we want to create this dynamic, and delete and enable and disable stuff as we want. So we just need access to that class, and all that buttons we want to create in that level manager or with that level manager class on, we need to store them somewhere, and we are going to take a list. A list can be created dynamically and can also be cleared dynamically as you please. So to use lists we need to add the namespace system.collections.generic. Otherwise we cannot use lists. Also for our button we need to use another namespace which is the event system, because we want to create an on-click event inside of that level class to have a direct connection to the button and can tell the button what it has to load. We can also create this dynamically again by code, but maybe you don't want to. So the next namespace we are going to use in here is using Unity Engine .event systems. And this event the variable we are going to create is public button, and from that button we have button clicked event, and we can call this whatever we want. I can just say onClick. I believe this should be it. We can also say it's called onClick event. This is just a name we will see when we are in the level manager in here. So as you now can see, we don't still see anything because we want to see stuff in here. We need to create the list. So what we do is under that we create that list, which is also going to be public, of type list. And we want to create a list out of level, which is the class, and we give it a name. So we can just say this is going to be a level button, or no, let's name this one level list. Okay. So, and this level list needs to be created once we start the level. So, okay, so the next thing is we also need is, of course, a button, yes, which is going to be a game object, and we just call this one button. Okay, now we have the list. But the problem is we still can't see anything in the list. So what we need to do is we need to make that class. You can see there's a button, but still there's no class, no list. So we need to make this level class serializable so we can see what it does. So we go in here and write system.serializable. I'm going to save this once again. And now we should be able to see a list array of level list. There we go. So now you can see we have level list in our in our level manager, and we can say now, okay, what is going to be in our level list? Let's say 2 levels. So in that 2 levels, we have new elements which are the class which are holding the level text, the unlocked, and the is interactable, and the onClick event we just were creating in the level manager inside. So now we need just to fill that list with informations and create buttons with the right stats and the right stuff inside and place them into the spacer automatically. This is the full dynamic part. So yeah, let's just get started with that. At first, I go over and delete update because we don't need update. For the moment, of course, we don't. And what I do is I create a new function which is called void fill list. So with fill list, we are going to fill in all informations depending on our level class. But we need another script, which is a level button, to send informations to the button itself from the level manager level class. As we already created the level button new in my case, for you it's just called level button, I just open the new script and just delete all that stuff because we don't need anything except some variables for that. And this script will directly be on the button, so the button knows what it has to do. So what we say is we create a public, and in here we have text elements. So we also make sure to using Unity engine.ui. And now we can say public text, and this is going to be the level text, which is this number 1 currently. So this directly is directly on the button. So every element on the button will be inside of that list or inside of that script. So the next part is we want to know if the button is already unlocked. So we create another public integer, which is going to be called unlocked. I'm going to lowercase this one, or instead of writing this one big, I just, as I have done here, I just write this one small, just to make sure I don't confuse myself. And also later on we need game objects. Because we have 3 stars in here, we also need 3-star game objects. So this is going to be game object star 1. I'm gonna do this one public too, otherwise we don't have access to the star. And we have 2 more because we have star 2 and star 3. We're gonna save this one. And now we go to our button, which is currently in our scene or not, doesn't really matter, and we drag in the new level button script which we just created, or level button new. And let's see if I can get this one in here. And there we go. The cool thing, or the important thing, is since this is going to be a prefab, we need all that information directly inside of the button, and we can all button informations which are children of that can be stored in the button itself. Don't forget to press apply, so the script is already on the button. And now we can drag in all informations. We have star 3, we can just drag the star 3 inside, star 2 and star 1, which are just game objects we want to disable or enable later on, depending on this depending on the player's achievements, of course, or player score. We have the level text, and we don't touch unlocked. Unlocked just stays 0. We apply all the changes, and now we can, from the level manager, directly activate and deactivate and set all that things. So we can just close level button, except you want to add a locked symbol. We could also use this, and but I don't go over this for now. I believe we can figure this out later. Basically, we don't need that since we set the button interactable anyways. So we can close the script and go back to our level manager. And now we can just fill the list depending on the stuff we have. So let's say we go into our level manager. We can also go and get rid of the level button or the button new here. I don't know what here is missing. Okay, let's go forward. What I forgot to mention is if you create your canvas, you shouldn't forget to go to the canvas scaler and change this one to scale with screen size. As you can see, there's a gap already. That gap got created. So you want to make sure that you switch that before you even do anything else. I'm going to go to my rect transform tool, choose the level spacer or just the upper part and fit that to the screen. So if you go to maximize on play, then make sure that everything fits well and there are no big gaps or any distortions or anything else, or squeezed or stretched UI elements. So let's go back to the level manager. I'm going to put the button into the top, I believe, because it seems to be a bit better to see that. So let's get back to the level manager script, and I just go over and take that button from here to there. I also need a connection to the spacer itself. Otherwise we cannot parent the buttons to the spacer after we create them. So we create maybe directly under the button another public. In this case it is going to be a transform, since the parents go to transform, and I just call this one spacer, so I know, okay, I need to drag the spacer inside. Okay, so let's save this one, return to Unity pretty quick. Let's wait until everything is organized and the script is compiled. There we go. So now we have the button in here and the spacer. So what we do is we go to our prefabs folder and to my UI folder, and I take the new button or button new and drag this one into the level manager. And also I need to drag in the spacer, which is in here, and just drag this one in there too. So I have the connection to the spacer itself, and the button is already inside. So now let's fill the list with, or basically let's push items from the list directly into the spacer. How can we do that? At first we need some elements. In my case we have two elements, and what we need is level text is going to be 1, unlocked is going to be 1 too, because the first level needs to be unlocked, and also the button needs to be interactable, so I just add all that information in here. Also later on I will go over and add the stars thingies, the game object things inside, but not for now, just leave it like it is. We can later on change all that things anyways. So the next level is going to hold, or basically the next button in the list will hold the number 2 and is not going to be unlocked and is not interactable, and everything else will just be like it is. So I'm going to save the scene by Ctrl S and go to my scenes folder maybe in my dynamic level UI, and I'm going to say new menu, just in case everything or anything is going to get destroyed while doing all that things. So what we do next is we start to fill the list. So at first we need all the components to add. So what I do is I create some kind of for loop. This one is going to be a for each loop, and what I do is I go to the whole list and instantiate the game objects depending on how many are in the list. So for each, and then I can say var, which stands for variable, and in here I can take directly the information out of the list. So for each var level in the list, which is the level list. There we go. And now I can see what will I do with all that information in the list. At first, of course, I want to create a game object, so I say game object, and this is going to be my new button. So every game object instantiated will be called new button, or basically holds information new button, and we can after that go and change the content inside that newly instantiated button. So what we do is we instantiate that button inside the list. So we just say instantiate the level button, which is let's see where it is. Or in my case, in here it is going to be button. It's just instantiate button, and after that we need to type as game object. So we instantiate a button, but we don't, or actually for every list item, which is in this case called level, we instantiate a button. If I am going to or go in here into MonoDevelop, into Unity, and press play and pause this one. Oh no, I can't see this right now. We need to do some more stuff before we can actually see that items in instant or getting instantiated. Oh no, what we do is at start, of course, we need to call fill list, like so. So you can call that at start. I prefer you would use this in the start. Once you start the scene, you will get the list fully. So save again and play this once again. Gonna disable maximize and play in just a second. So what we do is if I pause, you can see there are already 2 instantiated button clones, but we cannot see them. Why? Because they are not inside of the canvas, or actually not in the spacer. So this is what we want to do basically at the last step, after we were going through the wall for each loop. So in my case, I just gonna open a bit space in here and say a new button, which is this, dot transform dot set parent. I want to set a parent to the spacer. So and the spacer needs to be a transform, or needs to have transform information, and that's what we have here already written in. So we say just spacer. So the spacer is going to be the parent of all newly created buttons. In my case, there should be 2. So let's go back to Unity and test this one out. As you can see, there are already 2 items instantiated into the spacer. Even if the lineup is not what we want, I'm going to recheck this just again. Yeah, it might be some problems with, as I've said before, the canvas and the scale with screen size. I'm not sure if this is later on a big problem. We will see that later on again. Okay, so for now I just will go and create everything in the list over here, so the spacing is right. So as you have seen, I was just setting up that bit amount of levels I will have in my, in my world or in my game, and I can always go and add another one just by increasing the size of the level list. And I can always go through every element and change stuff inside, and it will take the information into the button. But to take information into the button, we need to compare some things. So what we do, or what I do, is next I need a connection to the level button new. So I type just level button new, which is the C# script we were creating in here, which holds the game object stars and all the other things like the level text, and it can measure if it is unlocked or not. And then we just say this is going to be just any name. Let's see, we could just call this one button. The problem is we would have problems with the game object button over here, so I renamed this one to level button, maybe with a big B, and also in the instantiation I write this one to level button. So I instantiated this level button game object as a game object, and in here the new button is going to be just a button. So we have the connection, or will have the connection to that C# script, which is this one. So how do we get access to that? Well, basically we need to get the component outside of the current button. So we write in here new button, which is the currently instantiated button, new button dot get component. So we go directly into the game object, which is just got created, gets component, and the component we want to use is the button. And no, not the button. Of course, it needs to be level button new. Level button new, which is a C# script which is directly on the button. So now we have the connection to the C# script level button new, which is this, so we can compare stuff with or items or game objects and all the other things with our current class, which is in our or saved in our list. So to compare stuff, or actually set item, or let's say to set information inside of that newly created button, or basically inside of that level button script, and compare it with our class, we can just say right now button dot, and since we have all the stuff inside, we can say, okay, we want to say or write level text inside, or set game objects active or inactive, and so on. Let's start with the level text. So button.levelText.text, which is a text component, of course, is going to be equal to, and now we go and take this string and paste this or place this one inside, and this is going to be called level, which is the variable we just created in the list. Level dot, and now we can say level text. That's it. So now we can push that level text we just have in the list over here, or at the first spot, level text, and this is going to be a string. So this string can be written directly inside of the button itself. I'm going to demonstrate this. So before we just had two 1 numbers inside, but when I create this right now, there will be a 1, or should be a 1 and a 2. But I forgot something. I need to go into the button once again. Oh no, this is going to be okay. Let's see where the problem is. Don't ask me why. Now it's going to work. The problem does seem that the button has needed to be replaced or reinserted once again. So if you have any problems, feel free to just clear out the level button in here and drag in the game object again. Sometimes Unity have some problems. I don't know why. Okay, so we have our label text in here, and the level text is going to be our label text as we have done before. And in the level manager, I just place this one once again inside, and I have now 3 buttons. I'm going to change the level text from this to 3, so we have 1, 2, 3, and let's test this one out. I'm going to delete this button here once again, and there we go. So now it is reading all the data directly from the level manager. So this is 1, 2, 3 for our levels we just created, or we just opened it, or whatever. So let's go to the next part. The next part is we want to make stuff locked or unlocked. And for this is we are using player prefs, or I'm going to use player prefs. I know it's not secure, but it's the easiest way to perform something like that. So we need to make sure that we name our level we are just using, or we are creating later on, or you are creating later on, have the following name in the level itself. So saving and loading will be very easy. So what you want to make sure is that your very first level, or all your normal levels, will look like that. Level 1, level 2, and so on. So don't call them, I don't know, whatever, la la la. And if you're using worlds later on, then you might want to rename them 1, 1, 1, 2, so you know it's world 1 and level 1. I don't go over worlds right now. We just use level 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. What basically doesn't matter for the buttons itself, but for the player prefs, if you will, or you will see that in just a second, it will be important to save stuff later on with that. With that. So what we do is, at first we want to read all the informations depending on that names. So what we do is, at first we want to get player prefs, and here we want to get an integer, and that integer will hold the information if our game or our scene or our level is already unlocked or not. If unlocked is going to be 0, then it's not unlocked. So we want to get an integer which is going to be a string key, and that string key is, as I said before, our level. So, and what we also want is, we want, as I said way before, I also want to take that level text, which contains 1, 2, 3, all that numbers, and we want to add this to the level. So we can read this out pretty easy. You can, as I said before, also use another possibility for this. For me, this is just going to be the easiest one. So I just take the level text and add this to or behind that level. So in the end, I will have level 1 as a string. So I do the same. I take the button text, level text.text, which is the one we just put it into the manager. And what we want to do is we want to compare this one if this is going to be 1, so we can say this is unlocked. The problem is we cannot do it like that, so we need to write a small if statement. So we place all of that stuff in brackets and say if player prefs get int level plus the button text, which will be just a string, yes, and if that string contains a value of 1, then do something. And what we want to do is we want to set the right level to be unlocked. So what we say is we go into our level, or basically into the list, and say level dot unlocked is equals 1. So we set this one to 1. So we say, okay, if there is a key already is stored already with a 1 inside, we can say this level is unlocked already. And also we want to say level dot interactable or is interactable. We set this one to true, since it's a boolean, as we created over here. Is interactable is true. Now we need to update the button, so the button knows, okay, this is the level is unlocked and the button is actually interactable or not. So this is going to be just as we did here. We say, okay, if the button is unlocked, then the button is unlocked basically. So if button, or actually we just set variables, we don't ask for them, we just set them. So button.unlocked is equal to level.unlocked. Level.unlocked. So if no matter if this is true or not, if there is a 1 or is not, it will always set to the value in the level manager, and the level manager will be just set by that readout from the hopefully existing string key later on. So the button is unlocked, and also we want to say button dot button. Actually, I believe it should be button. Let's see. Okay, we need to get the component outside of the button itself. So get component, which is going to be, of course, a button. And dot, and in here we should, this brackets again. And in here we have interactable. And we set the buttons interactable to the level is interactable. Like so. So the button will get information from the level manager outside of the class, or basically what we set them, or basically what the player prefs is going to set them. So if they are 0, actually if they exist, then we just create all of that stuff. So how do the player pref thingy over here just know when or how this how this is going to work, or how does that guy know, okay, there is actually something saved or is not? Well, what we can do is we can just go and write a small function for this, which is going to save all information directly on the start. Basically, we just need this to be to make this once when we just need to store that information once we are starting the game the first time. So we only do that when there is no existing key or string key. So I just say, or call this one save all. Let's just call it save all. Okay, and in save all, we just go through every button we have and loop through and check if they are locked or unlocked or not, and we only do that once. So again, we need, since we cannot do that directly in the for each, I believe we cannot, we just do this from outside. So we create a new list of, or basically an array of game objects, and find all game objects in the scene with a tag or with a name. But with a name is not cool, we're just using tags for this. So game object array call all buttons maybe. So we loop through all the existing buttons. And what we do is we do game object dot find with tag, or find game objects with tag, because we need more of them, or basically we want all of them. And I just loop through a tag called level button maybe. So what we do is we find all the game objects and store them in the all buttons game object array. Now we can get all the components outside, or at first I just loop through them and then go and get them. So again we take, or I use a for each loop. So for each, again, game object, and I call this one buttons in all buttons, because we are looking into that game object array all buttons. And now we can, or have access to all the buttons one by one once it's going to the loop. And now again we take our level button new, which is a C# script with all the informations, this one, which is already stored inside because the buttons are already existing. So, and we call this one, I don't know, button once again, and we say buttons, which is this. So buttons dot, and here we get the component again, which is the level button new. So we have access to all those informations, especially for unlocked. This is the most important part in here. So we can check, is this one unlocked or not, depending on what he was reading in here. And we can set or save all of that information if it's 1 or 0, and store all of them inside the player prefs. So what we do is to save all of them is again player prefs dot, and then we don't get the string, we set the string. We set an integer. And this integer is again the same stuff as we have in here in the top. So we set this one to level plus, and now we want again the button a dot, and in here we have a label text. We also have unlocked. So what we want to store is unlocked. But we want at first to know which level are we in. So we take level text, which is going to be a 1 for the first level. So this will store the string level 1. And what do we want to store? We want to store button dot unlocked. So no matter what, we want to store all that unlocked buttons. What we also want to do is we only want to do this once. Basically when the game the very first time is started, then only then we want to do this. So how we can prevent to just double or triple or whatever, to save all that stuff over and over again, we just want to do this once by saying if the player prefs has a special key, which in this case can be level 1. If there is an existing key with a string value of level 1, then we can just do let me just do it like that. We just return. So if there is an existing key of level 1 already, which is the first level of the first one, then we just return and we don't go over the next one, except we can just say, I believe we can just say else, and we do that, and we need another bracket in here. I'm not sure if we need the else statement in here, but yeah, let me just take this one inside, or let me use this. Okay, so if there is a key, then return, because we already have saved all the information. If there is nothing, then just don't do that. Don't forget, if you later on add levels again, you might want to make sure that the old key is going to get overwritten, or basically that is off. Or you so yeah, make sure that all your levels are already done. The other one could be we could just store all the information just by yeah, disabling this one. So let me just do it like that, because yeah, this is another one we might want to handle another way. I don't know. So basically you can do that, but if you later on plan to add more levels and the player already have the downloaded version, then the keys might not get stored again at that point, and the levels basically will still be unlocked, will still be locked, or should be still locked. But once they are unlocked, they are get written inside and should work properly anyways. So what we go and do after we filled the list and we are done with the will for each loop, we just call save all, and then that's, for now, it is it. So let's store that, or let's test this out. So all three are now locked. So I believe, yes, no, they are not locked. Okay, all those three are not okay. All have been unlocked already. I don't know why that is. So what I want to do it next is this could be the problem, since I have done that already. So I write a small delete all function for this, which I just call at start delete all. So I can show you this one, right? Player prefs dot delete all. That's it. So with that function, I can just delete all player prefs I have set in the beginning. So in my start, I just call delete all. So I am 100% sure everything works properly. You don't have to do that. And there we go. So what we have in here is the first level is unlocked right now. The second and the third one are not interactable. You can see this by checking out the button. And also you can go into every button and check its components. And as you can see, this button here is interactable because this is true. And then here it's just disabled, same here. So our level manager is working super great. So how can we unlock that levels? Well, basically we just need to store the integer with the right level and the right name once we are done with any level. To test this one out, we can just create another level for this pretty quick, and then we are done with the whole unlock system. So I can just create a new scene, and what you want to do is save scene. What you want to do, as I said, you want to rename, or you want to call all your levels like this. Level 1 in this case. And the next one will be level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and so on. So I go and save level 1 in here. What I want to do is I want to go back to to another level. after, I don't know, maybe 2 seconds. So I just write a small coroutine and save the information that I have done that level and unlock level 2. So what I go is my scripts. I don't know. I'm gonna do this in here pretty quick. Just a small one. Timer. Gonna open this one pretty quick. And once this is going to get called, basically I don't need a timer for this. I just at start say player prefs. This is how you store or save if something is locked or unlocked. So you need to know how the keys are called. So I want to set an integer, and this integer needs to be called application dot loaded level. So this is why I meant that you have to do it like that. And so the current loaded level, which is called level 1, I believe we need to say dot to string, otherwise it shouldn't work. So application.load level to string, and we want to call and we want to set this one to 1. And since we want to unlock the next level, we need to say application.loaded level. I believe I need to do it like that. No, I can't. I believe I cannot do that like so. Let me just do it like that. So what we want to do is, once we start, we unlock level 2 and set the value to 1. So that means it is unlocked. Gonna save this. Yeah, timer is the right word, the wrong word for this. So I drag this script to the main camera or anywhere else in the scene. Make sure it is 100%ly. Yes, there it is. And I can take the timer and go back to the level I wanted, or just create a button. It doesn't matter, so let's just pretty quick say iNumerator time. You don't need all that. It's just for how that I can show you how this is going to work. So I say yield return new wait for seconds, in this case maybe 2 seconds, and what I want to do after that is application.load level. I want to load my menu level, and this is, I don't know, maybe number 5. I will just add them anyways to the build, otherwise it wouldn't work. So application.load level 5. Saves this one into build settings. I just go over and add the current scene, which is going to be number 3. So the other screen will be just number 4. I close this one and say this is going to be 4 then. You can write your own script for all of that stuff later on anyways. Gonna save the scene just a second again, and I go to open my scene, which has been the new menu. Next is I want to go to build settings again and add the current scene, so I can go and load the next scene, level number 3. And I need a level button, or basically I need a script which I want to call where to which level I want to navigate, or I can just add this one into the list. No, I just guess I cannot. Okay, so what I want my on-click event for this first button, I want I can just take the level manager for this maybe, and I have somewhere in this script or in my list, I have a load level 1. Load level. No, this. And I want to load the scene 4. I believe this is not great this way. What I want to do is I want a connection to that scene to load, but in this case I don't like to use scene to load, which will normally not be an integer. Give me a second. Okay, I decided to change some things. At first I want to get rid of the on-click event in here, because basically I don't need that. Or we don't need that. We do that a bit different, so I just delete outside or inside the level class. I just delete that line. Gonna save this one. And what I was thinking about is how can I even that level can be loaded dynamically. And since we have all the information right in here in the for each, we can just add the on-click events directly to the buttons, and they should work as I expected. Also, I just forgot in my timer here, I would just go over and start the coroutine. Otherwise, this wouldn't work properly. And I start time. And this might be right, yes. Okay, save this one. So again, what I want to do is I want to add the button functionality depending on the level name, which we already have here in the player prefs. Depending on that name, I want to make buttons clickable to load the right to the right scene. So what I want to do is, at first I need a new function for this. I just call this one load levels, or loaded. Just load levels. And this is going to take a string variable, and the variable will just be any value. I'm going to show you this in just a second. And what we want to do is, when this is called, this function is called, then we want to of course say application.loadLevel, and we want to load the string level, which the string variable of the value we just get from our button event. So how do we do that? Actually, we just go and add a listener to the button itself. So I'm not 100% sure if I would get the component once again. I could also store that instead of getting the component twice. But for now, I just want to go over and check if this is working properly. So what I do is, again, I go and get the component of the button. Since the event or the on-click listener is directly on the button itself, I just need to get the component from the button again. And here we have on-click, and in on-click we can add a listener. And that listener is basically just get added while when we call this one, and we can add any function directly into the add listener. And since it's an on-click, we need to call that I think this is called actions. We need to say equals and then bigger one. This is going to direct this in the side. Also, we need to do some brackets in here, like to this and one this. So what we do is we add the listener of loaded levels, which is the function I just wrote in here. And also loaded levels takes one argument, which is a string value. And the string value is again a level, which is just the name of the level, as I told you before. Basically, it's just that stuff here. So we take in a button, a level text, the text, and also we need to close the brackets 2 times and end the line like this. So what we do is we add an on-click listener with the load levels function with the argument of which level to load, and then we load that level on the click with the corresponding level name. So this level name in here is on the first button it's going to be level 1. The second button will be level 2, and so on and so forth. So let's test this one out. I created the level 1 already, and now we need to wait until the list is gone. Okay, there we go. So when I now press level 1, it should load level 1 or the scene level 1. And there it is. Gonna pause this just for a second to make sure that this one is right. And as you can see on the main camera, there's my timer script I was just writing before. After 2 seconds, we should go back to level 1. The only thing I just noticed is level 2 doesn't or is not unlocked, but basically it should be unlocked. So what I need to go in here is or maybe it's the timer itself. Level T2 in this case should be unlocked. So I need to test something out once again. This is still not interactable. So I go and check my buttons. Okay, this just says it's not unlocked, and same here, this does not say it's unlocked. So what I need to know is player press already set right? So I set the integer with the string variable level 2 to 1, and in my level manager new, there should be, or it should unlock everything properly. Get in level plus level button 1. I think I read out if the player prefs already got that. Maybe it's already overwritten. This could be the case or the problem. But this has deleted everything, so we need to get rid of delete all. Gonna test this once again. So let's go inside. I go into the level, wait 2 seconds, and when I get back, as you can see, now level 2 is unlocked. As you can see, I can click that, and now you can see level 2 couldn't be loaded because it's just not added. Because I didn't create the second level, or a level 2 in this case, so yeah, with that done, I can tell you this is going to work really properly. So we have a semi-dynamic level system which can automatically load the right levels with a button listener on it. So you can just go over and create level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on and so forth. And once you go and start this one, everything is unlocked. And also you can see this in the level manager. I could do the same with a level 2. And level 2 could contain the same timer, but in that case I would just go over and save the unlocked value. Let's see, this one is going to store the information for level 3. So when you are done or your player has completed your level, you just need to store this for the next level. So if you're in level 2, you just need to type in level 3 and the argument 1, which is the unlocked statement or the unlocked value. So level 3 would be ready when level 2 is completed. So this level 3 would be unlocked. So the next thing is you can use the same stuff with using scores and game objects to activate or inactivate them. And I'm going to do that pretty quick in the same with a timer in here. So what I can do is, once the player has completed your game, depending on what score he has, I can just go over and type set int. And this is going to be the integer again, this in this case, this would be level 1, and after that I just this is going to be like so, plus, and then I just could or make an underscore in here, and in here I can just do any value, which is score. So and when I just start, then I can say score, or let's say it's an integer score, so you know how you can give your score around, and let's say 10k. So the player, when I go over in here and I have 10,000 of score, then I can do something. So let's save this one and return to the other script again, to the level manager. I don't need those. And what I can do is I can enable and disable or set stuff active and inactive depending on how the score is. So what I do next is, after all the buttons are set already, just before the set transparent, that's set parent to the spacer, I can just go over and say if now I can just read the player prefs. So player prefs get int. So now I go and get an integer, which is going to be again level. You just need to find a way to make this one properly. So the next thing is the button name or the button number, which is the text. Then we have an underscore, and underscore plus score. No, this is wrong. We just do it like so, and like this, because we need to set an integer value. So in the timer, or when you say or store something, you say is it level 1 dot score equals score. So when you finish that level, and then the score is set to 1 or to 10,000 or 10k. So this, now it should be fine. Again, back to the level manager, and what we have is level, then the number, plus, and here we have score. Again, let's check this. Yep. So the number of the button, the name, and the score name, and oh, wait a second. This is totally wrong here. We are in here. There we go. So if player prefs get int level plus button, and now we can say what should it be, and in this case is bigger than 0. So if this like this, so if this one is higher than 0, then you want to give your player 1 star, and this star can be just activated by using button. Oops. A star 1 dot set active equals, oh no, not equals, it's just true. So you can activate the button or the you can activate the first button. So since it's a game object, you can just set this one to active. Then you can also say if the player has more than, I don't know, 5,000 and then 10,000 points, you always need to make sure that the score is always the same, or the range of the score is the same. So give your player more or less depending on the difficulty of the level. So if, and now I can just copy and paste all that stuff in here. So if player prefs is bigger than bigger than 5,000 or bigger or equal than 5,000, then we set the second star true, and the third star is just if it's bigger or equal to, in my case I just say 999. So gonna test this one out once again. And I just let me start small. So I give my player at first 10 points. So what I do now is, I'll wait just a second. Also, I make sure that this one is star 3, which is going to get active. Okay. So now I start the game. And my score is just nothing. So I cannot load the second level, but it's already unlocked. So I go to first level, I will get 10 points, and when I get back, as you can see, the player gets 1 star, because I gave him 10 points, or 10 score in here. Now if I go and give him 5,100, if I enter the next time, so, gonna restart this. And I go into the scene once again, then I go back, I will get the second star. So because the player got 5,100 score. And the third part is I can say, okay, give me, or I have 10,000 points. I'm gonna save this once again and restart. Then I load my level 1. Get back after 2 seconds, and then you can see I have always 3 stars. So if you want to get rid of all of that information, again, you can easily use the delete function as we have written before, I've written before, so you can delete all the player prefs and everything will start again. So let me call this once and then we are done. So you can call this one from another button, like, okay, delete all the player prefs, restart, delete all right now, then I fill that, and as you can see, nothing is in here, so I didn't unlock anything. I go inside, yeah, and then I need to get rid of delete once again. I'm gonna save this and can restart everything pretty fine. So I deleted everything, go to the first level, I get 10,000 points, get back, and then I have all my coins and all my stars in that list. Pretty simple. That's pretty much it for now. So we unlocked a new level, we created stars to to test how many score the player just got. Just make sure that all the ranges of your stuff is properly mixed, and also don't give the player too much stars if you know, or too much points per level if you know your range of the stars or of that stuff is just worth 10,000 maximum. So make sure you mix all of them up properly and always use the same. So never give the player more than 10,000 points, or if you have no problem to give them more in the end. And yeah, that's it. This is a way how you could get a fully, almost full functional dynamic way on setting all that stuff up. And you just need to enter the level text if it's unlocked or not, just for the first 2, and for the next, if you, let's say we have 20 levels, you just need to fill out everything in here. So this is going to be 4, the next one is going to be 5, and the rest is done by the machine, by just a calculation inside of the level manager. So you don't have to do anything in here, because the rest is just math. Just make sure that the first level is unlocked already, otherwise the player can't do anything with that. So now you can just fill all over. As you have seen, I didn't fill all of them inside here, but you know what I wanted to do. You can also go and fill the whole list dynamically before, but I don't think this is actually needed. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you know right now how those semi-dynamic or basically dynamic level management is going to work. Feel free to ask me anything about that or other problems you might encounter in Unity. And yeah, if you think this is a good video, just sum this one up. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So, see you in the next tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. Well, I did. Bye bye.